Welcome into DRF Daily. DRF Sports' daily betting live stream using all of DRF Sports Pro's data to give you guys the winners each and every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern. If you're watching on Twitter, Twitch, or YouTube, thank you so much for tuning in. Go ahead and follow, subscribe, like, whatever it is, wherever you are watching. You can find us on YouTube at DRF Sports. Just search that in the search bar. Same with Twitch. And then on Twitter, we're a little bit different. Just search at DRF_sports. So thank you again for tuning in. We have a fantastic day of action lined up. 3 MLB games. And of course, we're going to be breaking down game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals. We also have a loaded week of content coming up for you guys. Wednesday, we bring on Matt Wyrick. He's a Nationals beat reporter. He's going to give us some awesome insights into the Washington Nationals and the MLB as a whole. And then on Friday, we brought on Kevin Boylard last Friday to break down Premier League lacrosse. And this week, we're bringing on Max Sacco, our very own DRF sports writer, to come on and talk all things week 4 PLL action. So a loaded week of content coming up for you guys. Be sure to set your alarms. Be sure to set Twitter notifications, anything like that for these live streams so you never miss a minute. Last week, we went 15-8 with our best bets. Finished Friday with a 2-2 record. We lost our PLL best bet. I'm going to blame that fully on Kevin. We lost, I believe, Cardinals Red Sox. Goldschmidt, who's having an MVP caliber season, was struck out looking, and the Cardinals lost that one by 1 game. And so we finished Friday 2-2, which pushed our overall record to 15-8. It's a new week. We're starting this week. Oh, no, we'll keep that overall running, but some fantastic games. I'm feeling a 4-0 week coming up today, and that starts with Yankees Rays. We break down Yankees Rays today, Cubs Pirates, and you might be thinking, why are we breaking down 2 terrible baseball teams? And I'm going to tell you why. It's because the value is there. Then we're going to break down some 38-30 teams, Cardinals Brewers, and then we're going to finish things off with some game 3 action in the Stanley Cup Finals. So first things first, Yankees, Rays. Total set at 6.5. Rays are the dogs at home tonight. Garrett Cole gets the start on the mound for the Yankees, and Shane McClanahan gets the start for the Rays. This season, Yankees have owned this season series 5-2 so far against the Tampa Bay Rays. That's including a 25-20 record down in Tampa over the last 3 seasons. 2-2 this season. So Tampa just coming off of a sweep last week, got swept by the Yankees up there in the Bronx. And their only 2 wins against the Yankees have come down in Tampa Bay. But this game's in Tampa, and the Rays have had a little bit more success against the Yankees over the last couple of seasons in Tampa. However, the Yankees still hold the edge. Like I said, a 25-20 overall record when they play it home. Yankees best team in baseball. I don't think that's a hot take anymore. They're raking it. They're pitching it well. By far the World Series favorite as of right now, as of June 20th. Still a lot of ways to go. There's still an all-star break. There's still a whole second half of the season, but Yankees are the best team in baseball right now. However, I say all of that to then say they are just 10-11 this season straight up when they're road favorites. 31-30 on the season as a whole when they're just favorites of -110 or higher. Tonight, they're -125 against Tampa. So granted, they are 49-17, and that's an amazing record. They do only have a 31-30 record over the last few seasons, excuse me. They're 10-11 this season, though, when road favorites. Not sure what I wrote down in my notes there to say 31-30 when they're 49-17. However, Rays are 11-6 this season when they're dogs. They're not as good as home dogs, but they still have a winning record when they're underdogs. Yankees, before we get into this pitching matchup, Garrett Cole against Shane McClanahan, Yankees are coming off a 10-9 loss. Their bullpen blew the save this season, though. They're 6-1 straight up coming off of a game where their bullpen blew the save. Tampa Bay, though, is coming off of a terrible 2-1 loss to division rival, the Orioles. However, they are 9-0 straight up over the last 2 seasons, coming off of a loss to a division rival where they scored 1 or less runs. So they bounced back very well after a terrible offensive outing. And the question, though, will be, can Shane McClanahan bounce him back? He's 7-3 this season with a 1.84 ERA. His last start, he lost to Nestor Cortez. He only allowed one run, one earned, but 4 runs came across to score. Garrett Cole, on the other hand, had an absolute fantastic outing. I believe it was last Monday or Tuesday against the Rays, and he's getting the start today. So it'll be a really interesting game, especially for the 2 starting pitchers. However, I say all of that, all of those stats come into play. This is a little bit against my better judgment because the Yankees are raking and have just annihilated all competition over the last few months. But I'm going to go Rays plus 115. Our Sims think it's a 3-3 game, so they're not really giving the edge to either side. So this is when my mind comes into who gets the edge. Rays are coming off of getting swept by the Yankees just last week. They return home. They've had a little bit of success against the Yankees at home this season, picking up 2 out of 3 wins in the series win earlier in the season against them. So at home, Tampa Bay, Shane McClanahan has a good ERA. He has a good win-loss. And last time out, he pitched pretty well, only allowing 1 earned, and he struck out 7. So give me the Rays plus 115. I think it's a sneaky underdog pick. I think there's value there. Our Sims aren't giving the edge to either side, but I like the Rays to win this one. Moving on from there, we're going Cubs. They're taking on the Pirates. And these are 2 terrible teams. The 25-41 Cubs are taking on the 26-39 Pirates. Both teams minus 105 in this one. No edge at all. Complete terrible game. You might be, why are we talking about Cubs Pirates? And I'll tell you why. You see the gold star? You see the gold star on the screen right now? Here, I'll even zoom into the gold star so we all can see it. Boom. StatFox Powerline likes the Cubs here, gives them the value. And since writing this, I wrote this when the Cubs were when both sides were minus 105. The Cubs are now plus 100, so there must be a little bit of money coming in on the Pirates. And because of that, there's not a lot to break down in this game. You see, scrolling across the bottom, Caleb Gillen is taking on JT Brubaker. And if I'm being 100% honest with you guys, I've never heard of either one of those pitchers. So with that being said, give me the Cubs because there's value there. Because both of these teams are really bad. This is the first game of a 4-game series. Pittsburgh, they're coming off of a win, but they lost the series 1-2 to the Giants. Cubs are coming off of a loss, but they picked up the win in the first 2 games against the Braves, and that snapped the Braves' really long winning streak. So Cubs are coming off of a series win against one of the best teams in baseball, and they're playing against one of the worst teams in baseball. JT Brubaker, what is he, 0-7 this season with a 4.5 ERA? We won't talk about what Caleb Gillen is because he's 0-1 with an 8 ERA. But give me the Cubs plus 100. Our power line thinks there's value, so might as well sprinkle a little bit on another underdog and put together a nice little bet ticket for today. And yet there's not too much more to talk about in terms of Cubs Pirates because it's not a great game. Moving on to 2 38-30 teams. The Cardinals are playing the Brewers tonight. Brewers are minus 170 in this one. And I've been burned a few times by Milwaukee as I'm looking onto my other screen to try and pull up this game. Breaking this game down, Miles McCollum, I think I'm mispronouncing that name as I normally do. He's taken on the reigning Cy Young winner, Corbin Burns. Miles is 5-4 this season with a 2.62 ERA. Here's a really interesting thing about Miles and his performance so far this season. He's 4-0 at night with a really low ERA of just 1.16 on the season. He has a 2.62 ERA, so some really solid stuff, but it gets even better when it's at night. And this is an 8:10 p.m. Eastern first pitch. He's taken on Corbin Burns, who, while he does have a lower ERA, 2.52, 4-4 on the season. But let's break down a little bit of player props here. I think there's some value on Corbin Burns over 7.5 strikeouts tonight. Last 2 games, I believe he's struck out 8. He's struck out 6 or more over his last 4 games. He averages 1.28 strikeouts per inning. And he averages 7.7 Ks per outing. Cardinals strike out 7.5 times per game. The prop is set at 7.5. So I'm leaning the over there. I think he might be able to sneak one past him a little bit more. Uh, it's contingent on him going deep into the game. He needs to go at least 7 innings. And the Cardinals, if they get to him early, that prop is in it very much danger. But based on all the statistics, based on everything, he averages more than 7.5 Ks per game. So give me Corbin Burnes over 7.5. That's not a best bet. That's just a little bit of a sprinkle here that I think could have some value. If we're talking bets, let's break it down. Coming in, Cardinals dropped 2 out of 3 against Boston. Brewers just swept the Cincinnati Reds. This is the first game of a 4-game set. Cards coming off of that loss, their Cards manager is 19-9 straight up after a loss, whereas the Brewers are 72-59 over the last 3 seasons against a team with a good bullpen, and that's defined as a bullpen with a whip lower than 1.25. So give me the Brewers minus 170 in this one. Not a lot of value, but it's a primetime, nationally televised game, so I want to put a little bit of action on it. It doesn't matter if there's not a lot of value. The total set at 7.5. Our Sims like it to be at about 7, so I'm not betting the total. I'm betting the Brewers to win at home. They have kind of bounced back after a really bad losing streak. So give me Brewers minus 170 to win today against the Cardinals.